Oh, this video sucks, but it is what it is. All right. Today, teachers are leaving the profession. They are teaching internationally, private schools, homeschool programs, or just changing their entire profession. Now that I'm no longer a teacher, I can say what I've been wanting to say for a long time, and I can say what teachers want to say. I'm going to tell you why teachers are leaving public education. Now, before I jump into that, here are kind of my credentials. I taught for 12 years at a wide range of different schools, but I want to spend majority of the time talking about why teachers are leaving public education. Now, there are three main reasons why teachers are leaving public education, but there are kind of like some minor issues that are kind of like the cherry on top. Not the main issues, but they contribute to the exodus out of public education. Number one, new curriculum. Districts are always switching curriculums. You know, I get it, like they're trying to do what's best for students, but a new curriculum requires lots of money, requires lots of training for teachers, and it also requires a lot of time for parents, families to adjust to this new curriculum, this new language. I mean, honestly, it's not even new language. They just take something, you know, give it a new name and say it's new. So new curriculum is kind of a little bit stressful. Teachers have to learn it. It costs a lot of money. Another thing on the plate for teachers having to learn on top of the other things. Reason number two, testing. My goodness, that was kind of the cherry on top on why I left elementary, is because kids are being tested so much. I taught second grade, and at that time, there was like, I don't even know, 4, 5, 6, 7 tests that they had to take at the beginning of the year. That takes up so much time. You know, when you're trying to get to know your students, you have to, right off the get-go, give them 6, 7 tests. Testing is kind of getting crazy. Number three, minor issue, contract negotiations. You know, it's a game, like I get it. And we have to, as teachers, you know, teachers have to fight for things like prep time, which is precious, which is something that teachers shouldn't have to fight for, but they do. You know, something that teachers have to fight for is health insurance. When we had the pandemic, teachers were on the front line teaching students, and it's not like they didn't want to be there, but you know, it's kind of scary when you don't know what's going to happen. So when teachers are, you know, in the petri dish of the community where all the sickness is going to be at, and you don't have good health insurance, like why would anyone want to go be in a place where, you know, your health insurance is in jeopardy, you know, and especially if you have a family and your health insurance is always on the chopping block and your deductible is going, you know, sky high, and why do I want to be here if I always have to fight for things that are essential to teachers? Now, here are the three main issues why teachers are leaving public education. Number one, the fall of the family unit. Unfortunately, today, it is so common to hear students living at different homes, and for students to go through that process of adjusting from, you know, this parent's household to this parent's household is a lot on a kid. And, you know, if we're honest with ourselves, we expect a lot from our kids. You know, I have kids myself, and you know, different expectations, different households. It's a lot for a student, and especially, you know, if you think about middle school, 6th graders, this huge transition in their life, going from, you know, you have your home, and all of a sudden, you know, mom and dad are not together, and you're kind of split. At the same time, trying to manage and navigate your emotions on what middle school is all about. At the same time, your family's falling apart. So that brokenness within the family unit has contributed in the classroom. So those students, unable to navigate those emotions, bring that into the classroom. And now you have teachers that are unable to teach the curriculum, unable to teach the standards, because they're having to help students navigate these situations. It kind of brings me up to this one story. I had this one student it was in middle school, and I had this student, you know, they were doing awesome at the beginning of the year, they're an athlete, just killing it, and then like their home life just like crumbled. Okay, mom and dad split. The student was the oldest, so they had younger siblings, and it was heartbreaking for me to watch this kid excelling, in this transition of middle school, to all of a sudden just drop and having no one to go to. Thankfully, thank the Lord that I was able to be there and to kind of help that student, and then also guide that student to the counselors to help them navigate that. But that kind of goes back to the family unit. When the family unit falls, education, public education, has to pick that up. Now, some of you guys may be wondering, well, Mr. D, like, I know kids that have split family homes and they're doing well. I know some kids that have both parents at home and they're not doing well. And and I agree with you. And here's the thing, just because both parents are in the home does not negate, it does not dismiss them from actually being good parents. So yeah, mom, dad, or whoever, both parents are at home, they still have to parent, okay? Just because you're together doesn't mean you're a good parent. So what does that look like? Well, sometimes it's hands off. Parents are not being parents, they're being friends. And when you have that relationship with your students, you're more worried about, does my kid like me, versus what is best for my kid. And what's happening is that parents, families are not setting strong boundaries, are not saying no enough. And when they get that no in school, there's this pushback. And now you have these two parties, the home life and the school life, contradicting each other. And as teachers, we can't do our job because the kids don't care about school. They don't care about school because parents don't care about school, and parents aren't establishing strong boundaries. In addition to talking about the home life and setting boundaries and a parent and child relationship versus a friend-friend relationship, what's happening is that kids are not understanding how to be respectful. They don't understand how to be respectful, not only to their peers, but also to adults, to those in authority. And that behavior is learned from the home. It's learned from the parents. And if the parents are buddy-buddy, or they're not calling their child out on being respectful, that's going to be carried into the classroom. So a lot of the times, teachers, we want to teach, but when you have 3 or 4 individuals being disrespectful, that takes over instructional time with the students that know how to be respectful. And this disrespect actually leads into my next point, which is number 2, disrespect. When I transitioned into middle school, and I only taught middle school for 1 year, but it felt like 7 years, the amount of disrespect that I received and my colleagues received was crazy. In middle school, some of the things that these kids said, I would have never thought. Okay, I would have never thought of saying that or doing that within the classroom. And yes, there are a lot of students that actually were so respectful, very bright. I had a lot of amazing students, but we do know that, and my students can contest to this, that there could be 3 to 4 individuals that could take up the entire time, the class time. Kids are falling behind because I'm unable, my colleagues and myself are unable to teach because we're having to deal with these issues of disrespect and not caring about school. And that makes sense why, parents are pulling their kids out, because teachers are spending majority of the instructional time teaching behaviors which should be learned at home when they should be spending that time teaching their subject, math, reading, writing, whatever it may be. Now, teachers can tolerate a lot of behavior. If you have a strong support system, we can tolerate it. Now, I remember working at it was a pretty rough school, but because of my colleagues, because of the staff, and because of my principal, I can do it. I can tolerate it. I can get through it. Why? Because I had that support. Now, here's the other category of disrespect that's contributing to teachers leaving public education: the disrespect from administrators. Now, your principal is supposed to be there as teachers. Your principal is supposed to have your back. They're supposed to be there to support you, help you out dealing with issues with parents, with students, with the curriculum. They're supposed to have your back. And it's very unfortunate for me to see this when principals are being disrespectful to their teachers. Craziness. It literally makes me sad to see great, amazing, awesome teachers choosing to leave education because their principal is disrespectful to them. Your child is missing out from being taught from an amazing teacher. But I've had several colleagues, phenomenal teachers. I would love to be a student in their class kind of teacher. Teachers with reputations around the community leaving because of their principal. Now here's the crazy part. Teachers will tolerate that disrespect because they love teaching. Now these teachers, we have this like weird dance that's happening. They're gonna get all this disrespect, this mistreatment from their principal, but they love teaching so much that they're willing to endure it to teach their students. And if you're not a teacher, you're not gonna understand. You're not gonna understand this. Like, teachers will go above and beyond because they love teaching. No one jumps into teaching for the money. No one. Now you have these teachers feeling guilty because they don't want to leave. They love teaching, they love their students, but they feel guilty because if they leave, they feel like they're giving up on their students. So there's this conversation like, oh, I'll just endure this for one more year. They teach, oh, I'll just endure this for one more year. Now it gets to a point where the teacher goes, I can't even be the best teacher I can be that my students deserve because of this. It's kind of like that mama bear mentality where mothers will just give themselves and not think about their own well-being for the benefit of their family. It's the same thing with teachers. I'll tolerate this disrespect. I will tolerate you making lies. I will tolerate you criticizing my lesson when you didn't even watch it. You know, I'll tolerate these things because I love teaching, I love my students. But then those teachers have to say, you know what, I can't do this anymore because I can't be the best teacher that I can be for my students. So they leave. And if they're not changing professions, they're gonna go to another environment where they feel respected, even if it's a tough school. Why? Because principal, the colleagues respect them. And if I feel respected, I'm gonna support them. And if I feel respected, you know, I'm gonna do my best because I know that my school has my back. Last reason on why teachers are leaving public education: technology. Technology is getting out of hand. Let's just be honest. It's getting out of hand. Tests are online, you know, assignments are online. Super convenient. But I believe that education has gone so far to one direction that it's actually detrimental to students' well-being. You know, when I was teaching middle school, I gave all my tests online, and it's super convenient, easy to grade, whatever. But when I gave a paper test, I had students asking, Mr. D, can we do more paper tests? And I was like, yeah. And here's the thing, when I taught science, when I did the paper test and had a written response, I was able to gather so much data from that simple written response versus a typed response. Why? Because I can see their letter formation. I can see them writing out their sentences versus typing. And I didn't have to worry about, you know, them using Google, or, you know, AI for them to generate their answers. It was all right there on the piece of paper, tangible, something that I can show to them, to their parents, and it was more authentic in the sense of their learning. AI should not be used in the school, period. I believe phones should not even be in school. You know, if they are, you know, I get it, like activities and whatnot, but they shouldn't be allowed to be used. You know, I don't know how many times I saw students like this walking around the hallways, or they're interacting with their friends, but it's on the phone. Like, everything surrounds the phone, you know. I had a couple students using AI, okay, and it was clear as day. They did a presentation. It's clear that they copy and paste. Now check this out. They presented and read directly from the presentation, and they didn't even know the words that were on their presentation. So I think AI should be out of the school. Students should not use it. Phones should be used in the classroom. Technology, I think, is just way too much. You know, in addition to the tools and whatnot, you know, cyberbullying is a whole new level. Instead of just like within the school, okay, now you have this different environment, this wider environment, the internet, okay, to bully. And I saw it. Students showed me, you know, and that's for all the world to see. And I think technology is a great tool, but at this point in education, I think we just need to dial back and go back to books, paper and pencil, and use it sparingly. Now, if you're not a teacher, you may be pushing back on a lot of these things. Oh, I don't think it's the family unit that's causing teachers to leave. The disrespectfulness, you know, maybe you don't see it. Like, I get it. You're not a teacher. Or even technology, you know, oh, students should use AI. I think it's a great tool and students should learn how to use it. Yeah, I agree, but they're kids, right? They're kids. And I don't think they're mature enough to use it responsibly. And if you want to criticize this video, if you want to call me out, you're like, I get it. You You want to call me out? But before you call me out and you want to comment below, I want you to go ahead and sub in a classroom. One day. Now, I think everyone should sub in a classroom. School board members should sub in a classroom. Members of the community should sub in a classroom. So before you criticize a teacher, education, or if you want to criticize my video, sub in a classroom, then come at me. And then we'll talk. I love public education. I did. But it's at the point where it's too much. And you see it, I see it. A lot of great teachers are moving to a different profession, different schools where they feel respected, different countries where they're treated with respect. So I don't know, these are just thoughts of a teacher, a male teacher. If you want to throw all the identities, a male, Filipino, millennial teacher, doesn't even matter. Public education is going downhill, and you're going to have two parties. The parties that are capable of taking their kids, going to private school, homeschool, and then you're going to have the group of kids that don't have that. And then you have those kids all together in one classroom dealing with behaviors, all sorts of things, and those teachers are going to leave because it's too much. Now the question is, Mr. D, what's the solution? How are we going to solve this? I don't know. I think the first step would be have everyone sub in the classroom. Maybe if we're able to change perspective on education, maybe we can change policies in education. Maybe we can change the lens upon which we look at teachers and appreciate teachers and what they do. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this video was able to shine some light on why teachers are leaving public education. Shout out to all my teachers that are still in public education. You guys are the warriors. You guys are awesome, and I love every single one of you. And then to those in power that are able to change things, hopefully that this video was enlightening to you, to take that first step into changing public education. Thank you so much for watching. If you feel led, please like and subscribe. Thank you again, and have a great day. Bye.